Hey Rahul, remember that time that you had to wear a gown in Cambridge?
Oh my God. Why are you bringing that up now? Is
I
that
think that my favorite part about
is someone
my
still salty about their plans?
oh my god, I think the best part of that trip was the amount of singing that you did to my friend.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Okay, let's I don't know. Let's get this started. Okay, I think that's a good I don't want to keep this going any longer. You win.
Hey, hey, I'm Yusuf.
Hey guys, I'm Rahul, and we're Grand Slam guys. Yeah, before uh, before we were talking, before we were talking about this today, we found an interesting topic surface up a couple days concerning one of our favorite players on the tour, Mr. Novak Djokovic. I think some are starting to call him Godovic per se, but Yusuf, you want to get started on this, or do you want me to
Yeah,
the quote, or what's going on here?
well, let's get into it. So, I'm sure a lot of people who have kept up with tennis or even news in general, because it was all over the internet on CNN, Reuters, like a lot of verified sources, that Djokovic doesn't want to take a vaccine for COVID-19. So, I mean, I, I mean, before we get into the quote, just I guess to like kind of contextualize, people already know. I mean, tennis players travel worldwide, so they're exposed to a lot of different like people and environments, and even if so, I know there's talk of sports without fans, which is like I think actually a really good idea. I know the NBA and baseball are considering that, but the problem is for these sports, you still need referees. So for tennis, it'd be a main judge, head judge, and then you have line judges. You need tournament directors. You need personnel that keep the facilities going. That's still going to be like 50 to 100 non-tennis players, in addition to a bunch of internationally traveling players in a small stadium.
Hmm.
So it's really essential that if tennis is to resume with the vaccine, that everyone who's doing these international travels, these participating internationally, are not spreading the virus between each other and to these workers. So with that, this here was Djokovic's thoughts when he was on a I think it was an all Serbian or Serbian players kind of like Facebook Live. So what was the quote, Raul?
Yeah, so when he was on like this live, Reuters translated it, and he said, "Personally, I'm opposed to vaccination, and I wouldn't want to be forced by someone to take a vaccine in order to be able to travel. But if it becomes compulsory, what will happen? I'll have to make a decision. I have my own thoughts about the matter, and whether those thoughts will change at some point, I don't know." So, and I don't want to keep going because I don't want to, toss out everything. I want to give him some context here. He did release a statement later, a couple of days later, saying that he declined to address whether he opposed vaccines in general, but he was specifically focusing this comment in context on a potential COVID-19 vaccination, which as we all know, has not been developed yet. So his main deal is focusing on this one. To be fair to him, kind of. I don't know, but
Okay.
he said he's not an expert, but he wants to keep an option on choosing what's best for his body.
Okay. Here's a couple problems with that. Number one, why did he decline to comment on vaccines in general? Like I'm like that's like easiest way to to fix this, whether or not whatever he believes, just say, hey, I think vaccines are like really important, but I don't know about COVID because there needs because he could make some excuse or some argument I could see him making, saying like, if there's not enough testing for a COVID vaccine, he doesn't want to take it because usually vaccines take a long time to develop, and obviously a COVID vaccine is trying to get fast tracked, right? So
Yeah.
that I could see that being an argument. Him saying, I'm not going to take a fast track vaccine. I want proper testing. And I'd be like, okay, like that is a reasonable argument. But when you say I'm not going to comment on vaccines in general, that's when I get a little.
That's true. But okay, I want to give him a little bit of credit here because he might obviously he has his views on vaccines, which that seems very apparent by this article. But he has been in COVID-19 in general, he has been doing his part to help other players in need. Like I saw that he donated about like €1 million to help Serbian authorities, buy respirators and medical equipment. Like he's like it's had an impact on Serbia, and he's trying to do his part there. He and he's working with Federer and Nadal on that relief fund for players. So he's doing his part in other ways, but it's definitely it seems almost very contradictory, that he's doing all these things, but then on the other hand, he's kind of talking in a very different way. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I saw that article too where he was donating about €1 million in like medical supplies. So credit where credit is due. I appreciate that from Djokovic, but I don't know. This whole thing has kind of like made us think about what's going on with Djokovic, because Djokovic has been kind of an interesting like character. I feel like in terms of like things he's said like offhandedly or things that you know he's believed in or things. So we're kind of curious, and we decided to do a very like cursory just like Google search and looked into some of the people that he's worked with and such just to kind of see like what's going on. So obviously you guys know that there's been a lot of Instagram lives going on with tennis players. So like Roger Federer and Nadal did an Instagram live, which was really cute. You have Rafael Nadal and Aunt Murray.
You mean
and Djokovic?
You mean Nadal barely did an Instagram live? the man took half the live figuring out how to add people.
Oh my! His face was like this. It was really funny. There's so many funny screen caps of him looking at his phone like this, where he's like, and he doesn't know how to like.
It's like your dad who like hasn't figured out how to use a phone yet. Except it's 2020, so pretty much they have now, or they should have by now.
And it's superstar Rafael Nadal, who's worth like hundreds of millions of dollars. He's like, how do I do Instagram live? Like, but one Instagram live in particular was kind of odd. So Djokovic invited this guy. He called him his good friend Shervin, and I don't know. So this is on YouTube. If you guys look up Djokovic Shervin or Djokovic Guru like Instagram live, he opens it with saying "Hello, brother," and it's like I'm like this is interesting. Like whenever someone starts like interacting with someone by saying "Hello, brother,"
it's just a boy, man, it's just a boy. They're homies, brother.
One of the I mean, unless you're like Muslim in a meat market or something, like I don't know where the brother's thrown out, man. Like that's kind of anyway. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And like very quickly, it becomes apparent that there's something little odd going on here. So apparently, Djokovic and this guy Shervin Jaffrey are like they've been friends for a very long time, and they've Djokovic has taken a lot of his products, and I'm like, oh, products, that's interesting. Apparently, the guy works in supplements, so I'm like, okay, that's okay. Like, sports supplements, you're a big baller. But then if you watch the rest of it, he starts saying some interesting things like balancing your inner gnosis. Rahul, how do you balance your inner gnosis?
I just make sure I have enough of gnosis on either side of my body. Like I was looking at this Symbiotica website.
Which is the company that the guy owns and runs, by the way, just for reference.
Oh, yeah. For context. You'll find some interesting products you can buy there.
What sort of products can I get there, Rahul?
You can get Synergy C.
Synergy C.
If you want to enhance your immunity, or as Djokovic would say, increase your metabolism to counteract these imposters like COVID-19. That's no cap. Djokovic actually said that.
No cap. Wait, did he actually?
He didn't say it exactly, but he said that like he wants to encourage everyone to like increase or help their metabolism to fight off imposters.
Stop.
And then he said, you can't make this up. But also, don't worry, it just doesn't enhance your immunity. It will increase skin elasticity. So
what does that even mean?
Yeah, it
What
reduce
is skin elasticity?
improve joint flexibility. Maybe that's why Joker, moving around the court so well. He must be getting a lot of that synergy C. But don't worry, if you're not into the synergy C, there's also the Synguri, because I'm pretty sure they misspelled synergy on this
Oh
website.
my
The second
god, I just
they
saw
spelled
that.
Synguri,
They
D3K.
didn't even spell it right.
If you don't want some COVID-19, you can have some CoQ10 instead, or some
Okay, but literally, okay, I'm looking at the ingredients for this, which is
Oh, and guys,
misspelled, but it's Synergy
guys, I
D3K2.
wanna give a bit more context. So my friend Yusuf here, right? He's what you call a scientist. He's been doing a lot of work in the biology community, the scientific community. So these things, let's just say, it triggers one person here a bit more than it triggers the other, and I'd say rightfully so. But when a person in the scientific community, this is not like left right. This is not politics, right? This is either fact, fiction. So when something like this comes up, especially for someone like Yusuf, it's a bit it's a bit interesting.
I'm a bit triggered to say the least because looking at the ingredients for this, and mind you, I'm not on the clinical side as much, right? But like, oh my god, the ingredients is vitamin D3, vitamin K2, CQQ10, beta carotene, and selenium. And for each of these, there's a long description. So like this vitamin 3, they say our Vita Shine TM, so it's trademark, be careful, comes from the world's only vegan source of D3 made from lichen. Lichen is a composite plant organism that comes from algae and grows on various trees in nature. Like, this is literally just vitamins. This is a multivitamin. This dude is selling a multivitamin for $67, and it's 2 ounces.
It's $67.
It's 2 ounces, and it's $67. This man is a genius.
Holy!
Or 2 ml. I'm sorry. It's 8 pumps.
Oh my God! Wait, it says due to high demand. Wait, there's high demand for this.
It's not available, dude.
Oh my God! Wait. Oh.
Also, I have to tell you, you guys have to go to the website yourself. The logo is literally just a triangle. It's literally the Illuminati.
Wait, no, dude. I read one of the reviews at the bottom.
Wait, stop. Read it.
It said such a delicious flavor. My 6-year-old will love it. we both had sniffles, and within a couple days, it's gone. Well, I guess it works. So that's pretty much science right there. It works for a 6-year-old.
This is so bad.
I don't like people naturally get over sniffles or anything, so I guess it works.
There's an assurance. There's a certificate of analysis that they've included. If you go to the top, there's a certificate of analysis, and like why is this on the website? This is like the certificate of analysis just shows that it's just safe to consume. That's it. That's not important. That's like, congratulations, like you didn't make poison.
So I want to say for Djokovic, right? Maybe him not being, like, we all know in the tennis community in general, he's not renowned as popular as Federer, Nadal, or even like some of the newer, like, upcoming next gen players, just because of his reputation. But maybe that's actually working for him, because maybe not too many people have picked up that, okay, like this vaccine thing, like it came up a bit, but I didn't hear about it too much. But then this, like, this other stuff is kind of like, it's kind of like people haven't heard about it. And maybe that's a good thing that he's kind of like, a bit more low key. Because I'm just trying to imagine, like imagine someone like LeBron James, someone like Kobe or something in the basketball community comes out and like says this about vaccines. Like LeBron said one thing about, I think, supporting China, and like the whole world knew about it within like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I still remember it. I'm still a little upset about it, honestly.
If LeBron James said he doesn't support vaccines, like everyone
just
a new one.
Well, not even like, imagine if Roger Federer said this. Like, if Roger Federer said this, all his endorsements are gone. Like, literally, all his endorsements are gone. Like, I think with Djokovic, I think it's right. I think like I think tennis wise, everyone knows him, but outside of
Yeah.
tennis, like everyone knows Federer, Nadal, but Djokovic is still like people know him, but like the average Joe will be like, oh, I don't really know him that well. Like, oh yeah, Federer, Nadal, like we know those players.
Yeah, I feel like people will say big three before they say Djokovic for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I think what Federer and Nadal have done so well is that they have a brand, right? Like you think of Federer, you think of like, you think of posh, you think of smooth, you think of like he's got that rolly, and you think he's like, he's just like a magician on the court. When you think of Nadal, you think of all that grit, you think of like,
Fiery, dude. It's the
yeah,
fiery bull. Everyone knows him.
you think he's jacked and all that stuff. Djokovic, what do you think of? Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, yes, he's the winner. Of course, no one can deny that. But like, I don't know what I think of when I think of Djokovic.
I mean, it's not. I don't think it's also his fault because he came up at it. Like he's still coming in a time when you have two like huge like media drawers in tennis, which is Federer and Nadal. So it's not like it's not his fault, I guess. But
Yeah, yeah.
I agree with you that I personally think this has been kind of underreported, to be quite honest. 'Cause I want to go just like one step further because in the Instagram live video, Djokovic says that he's designing products with this guy supplements. So this is not like we're finding some like thin thread and we're just like going into like following it through. Like
Mm.
Djokovic says that he's been friends with this guy for years, takes his products, and is designing products with him. So Djokovic is in on this as much as this guy Shervin Jaffrey is. And there's if you just Google Symbiotica or Shervin Jaffrey, you can find there's Symbiotica has a YouTube page. One of the videos is called Symbiotic Surrender to the Allure of Spring Equinox by Shervin Jaffrey. And he goes on to explain how the spring equinox is a very important day because I'm paraphrasing very closely because the Schumann resonances of the earth will help heal inflammation in the body. What?
Mhm.
What?
Ugh. I think it just like I think it goes to show like because like Djokovic did say like I think this quote kind of sums it up. He said, "To be honest, like the rest of the world, I'm a bit confused. Despite having access to information and resources, I'm left in doubt about what could be the best thing to do." And I think this is just a perfect example of right. Even though like you think like we have all this access to all this information and all this stuff, right? There's still a lot of people like Djokovic out there who like, and I'd say myself as well, like just don't know exactly what the best thing to do, right? And sometimes if people go out on like a limb to do what they think is the best thing to do, it's not like if you're not going like with what the C says, or like you're not trusting the professionals, you're just kind of like, are you doing more harm than good? I don't know.
I don't know. All I'm gonna say is, Djokovic, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Like, and this isn't like the first time either. This isn't like a one-off thing. So Djokovic had this. This was kind of reported, but I think people forgot about it. He used to have this old coach slash tennis guru, Pepe Imaz. So Pepe Imaz is
I don't remember this. Oh,
so
no.
he's literally this coach who preaches amor y paz, which is love and peace, as the overriding factors for coaching tennis, and which he uses meditation and the power of hugs.
I mean, look, that's some of that stuff. It ain't like complete cap. I'm just like, I just, I'm just, I just, I'm just salty about how everyone's taken like this guru thing and like kind of twisted into their own thing. But anyways, I could kind of like, like, if it improves his mental health, I can kind of see where he's going with it.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. And then apparently this Pepe Maz was helped Djokovic's little brother alleviate symptoms of his depression with his hug and love therapy, which I mean, like fair enough, dude. Like, but I don't know if you guys know this, but he started working with Djokovic from 2016, and I don't know if this is a coincidence or not. But then Djokovic had like a super huge downturn in all of his tennis, like from 2016 to 2018, and then the minute he stopped working with this dude, Djokovic just then went on to win 4 out of the 5 next Grand Slams. So
Well,
like,
well, I mean, he did get like kind of injured. Like
yeah, you're right.
although maybe too many hugs, maybe that's why.
Injured from too many hugs.
Shoulder got fucked up. Like, you messed up by too many hugs. Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Well, what's kind of like your wrap up on like, I don't know. How do you think this affects like all of this? How do you change the way you see Djokovic? I guess like what's your like overall vibe on him? What's the vibe check?
Well, I think it's important, that whenever you're talking about like a player, you really do have to separate the player and the personal. So for me, like as a tennis player and stuff, it doesn't change anything, right? But it's like sometimes it's one of those things, right? Especially if you look up at Novak, you have your heroes. You can't like sometimes they say meeting your heroes is like the worst thing you can do because then you find out who they truly are, right? It's one of those things where it's like we keep Novak, we keep some of these guys, these greats, and keep them at a distance. And we admire, what they've done in the tennis community, what they've done for tennis globally and stuff. But you don't want to dig too deep into like their personal stuff because you'll see like everyone like, everyone. That's why like you get along with your friends so well because everyone has like beliefs. And sometimes when you find out more about a person, it'll end up being a bit more sketchy or a bit more disappointing than you think, despite how well off they might be.
But I guess the way I don't know. I have trouble doing that where it's like you have to separate like the player and like the personality, or you have to separate like. I mean, I understand I understand that sentiment, but for me, I feel like it's a complete package kind of thing, you know. So for like Federer and Nadal, I think like honestly, I'm really scared that one of them's gonna say something or like express something that's like so outrageous and that's gonna ruin my perception of them. But I think like when you're like so rich, you have such influence in the world, and you're so amazing. It's like you almost have to take a slight responsibility because you like whether you like it or not. I think you have a lot of pull in the world. Like everyone in Serbia loves him. People worldwide love him and respect his opinions. So I think he has a responsibility to be at least moderately informed and not. I don't know, not to
I'll
lead
agree that
people astray.
everyone can have differing opinions, but it's like I'll agree with you on the fact that where it's something like a kind of like a vaccination or it's something very medical or scientific that if the scientific community has agreed on something because they've done research and stuff, like I'm not the scientist, right? Like I'm not the one doing it. It's either yes or no. It's one way or the highway, right? Like you shouldn't like preach anything that could be harmful to people when it's something's like a fact, right? And you shouldn't preach something that's not a fact, right? I'll agree on something like that. But, everything else is kind of like people just have to live their life, man. Like, I mean, on this particular situation, it's a bit like he didn't have to say that, like.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like I guess where I would on that, I guess where I would say it doesn't really matter as much, or yeah, it's kind of like the Michael Jordan situation, where it's like he never really spoke out on politics or anything, and people were disappointed in him. But I think at the end of the day, like that's like a personal choice, and that's not something that's like that's just who he was. Like he didn't want to be an activist. I think that's okay. But Michael Jordan never went out and said don't get like I don't believe in vaccines, which is like
Yeah.
I think is irresponsible. Which is I know Djokovic hasn't come out and said that explicitly, but that's basically what he's kind of messaging, which is like I'm not okay with that. But anyway, like I think that's a good place, I guess, to wrap up with our
Yeah.
friend Djokovic. Please, Djokovic stands, don't hate us, don't destroy us.
We're just keeping it 100, man. We're just, we got to keep it 100. I mean, if Federer and Nadal said this, it'd be
Oh, I
all.
would roast Federer.
I mean, we'd be keeping it the same way.
All right, guys, thanks for listening in. Remember to like and subscribe and keep touch with our podcast on either YouTube or Spotify or Apple Store.
Dude, nice. Sick ending.
Oh God! All right, goodbye.